Yo, 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 what's going on? Dan the Glassman here. You're watching the Glassman's World. And today, we're going to be working on some jellyfish pendants. So, I'm just chilling here watching some of the, I'm watching actually my very first video of this whole alien stuff that happened at the Miami Mall. Miami Mall incident, 8 to 10 foot creatures cause chaos. Eyewitness. So there's a video there that I'm checking out, but we're gonna do something a little bit new and a little bit different today, guys. So check this out. We got this set up right here, and we got this here. I'm gonna try to figure out how to get this all hooked up and set up here, so we can actually get you guys on an overview angle to where it's gonna look something like that is what I think. I think we're going to be something like that, guys. So, bear with me. I'm going to get this camera hooked up onto the tripod here, and we're gonna hook you up here. We're gonna see if I can actually set this up without you guys falling over. This is gonna be pretty interesting to see how well this little $5 holder can do. Wow, it's got some pretty good grip right there, actually. Okay, so let's see if I can bring this down. Let me try to. Let's see if I can loosen this up, and we're gonna get you guys set up. Something like that is what I'm thinking. Something right there. Alright, this is going to be cool. And hopefully you won't be in the way that I should be able to still work here. And without, hopefully I won't be getting in the way there. So that's pretty much the view that I get here while working. And we can pan this down just a little bit, and you can actually see. That's gonna be pretty cool. All right, cool. So I think right there I should be completely out of view and everything. So a whole new view, and I'm just gonna be listening to this video here. So hopefully it's not too loud and obnoxious. So today, actually I don't need to listen to this. Well, I guess it don't really matter because it's probably in the background. So we're gonna get started here, guys. So today we're gonna work on making the jellyfish pendant, guys. So the jellyfish is a pretty awesome piece. And you know what? I'm also thinking, let me go grab a light for the camera here, and we're gonna run that little tiny light, and that way it's a little bit brighter for you guys. Here. I'll be right back. sorry about that delay. I went to go get this light here, which I think it's going to make a big difference. And you'll be able to see a little bit better at all the stuff that we got going on. So, and I might be able to pan you over too, to be able to see like the kiln and things. So we got the kiln turned on, and the pyrometer is working. So this is pretty cool, different. All right, so let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Maybe what I need to do is actually, instead of listening to this video, is just focus on this, and let's actually watch my live stream, so that way I can read the comments on the screen if they come up. So we'll just bring the Glassman's World. And thank you guys so much for all of you new subscribers who've come in. Recently, I believe I'm getting about 1 new subscriber per day now, about 30 in the last 30 days. We're at 862 subscribers now. For a minute there, I had more videos than I had subscribers. And now, I don't know how many videos I've got up. But we have 862 subscribers today, guys. So let me just set this up with the default view, and if anyone comments, I'll be able to read what's going on. I was thinking about maybe going live on Facebook too, but the people on Facebook know they need to be here. So we got this new setup here. Let me know what you think. And I got this selfie light here, so this is what I went to go run and grab real quick, so that way we can actually turn the light on here. And I think that this is going to this should be pretty good lighting for being able to see overhead. I wonder what it's going to do for me. You know, I could just use that other light and use the plug-in power instead of batteries, but let's test out this. Let's see how long the batteries last. All right, so we got this cool new clip-on light, right? And it just takes two AAA batteries. Got a little clip. So this clip goes onto the phone, basically right here, over the camera. So that clips right there, and then turn it on. Also, I do believe that I can move it to the other end. It doesn't have to be on that side. I can move it to this side here, and then it won't get in the way at all. And then we turn on the lighting, and now we should be able to see. I don't know if that really did anything. Let's put it right over the camera hole. Maybe that makes a difference. Alright, so does that make any difference? Now it just gives us a nice little glare, huh? So there we go. That's the jellyfish pendant right there. Yeah, now it gives just a wonderful glare that you can't really see what it's supposed to look like. But so this is what we're going to work on today and make. Let me see how it works without the light. Let's turn this light off. Yeah, see, it's really dark without the light. You can't see. There's 3 different settings there. But yeah, I guess with the lighting is better when showing this. Alright, so that's the jellyfish that we're going to work on today. I was thinking about making different colors though. And my son actually asked me to make a rainbow jellyfish. And I was like, ooh, that's going to be pretty cool. Like, it inspired me. I'm going to try that out. So I'm going to take this light off. That's now in my way. It's going to bump my head. I have this set up just perfectly. So, okay, let's get started. Turn on the torch here. So, when you're turning on the torch, there's a universal thing we learned. It's called POOP. P-O-O-P. Propane, oxygen, oxygen, propane. So, this is your propane. This is your oxygen. So, when you turn it on, you go propane first, then oxygen, and you set the oxygen level to your propane. You don't want it too bushy, and you don't want it too intense. And let's also make sure that you guys have a really good view and angle here, and you're not going to fall over. So yeah, so that's the propane oxygen right there. And you don't want it to be too intense of a flame. You know, you want to have a nice, you want to have a good ratio of propane oxygen, and then also depending on the colors that you're working, the glass that you're working. So this is the pad here, this is a paddle, we have a reamer ready to go, tweezers, always needing the tweezers. I tend to just put these off to the side. My desk, as you can see, is just full of colors. It's just a big old mess right now. The marble mandrel and bowl push right here, we just keep this off to the side for now because we won't be using that. And calipers here, in case you're wondering how big these are. This is pretty much standard size right here. So you can see this is a millimeter caliper, zeroes out. Well, pretty close. I mean, let's get it accurate, right? Oops. Okay. Well, is that millimeter? Yeah. Okay. So now we zeroed out. So now you can see how wide they are. So 22 millimeter, basically 22 millimeter. 25.4 millimeter is 1 inch. So it's almost 1 inch that way, and this way is 36. So we're a little over an inch that way. 36, almost 37 millimeters. So we're gonna make these roughly in that same size, but they don't have to be accurate. You know, we just gotta keep them pretty close. Now, to make a jellyfish, you need to learn how to make different sorts of canes. Twisted canes are your basic simple canes here, where you then have color on the outside and you just basically twist it all up. That might actually not be an outside cane. Here, this one's more of an outside cane right here. So you put the color on the outside and you twist it and it all twists up. You need to know how to make at least that sort of canes. But what we really need to make is the ribbon cane. So a ribbon cane basically is a cane, which we'll probably make one with my son wanting to have a rainbow jellyfish. We'll probably do that. So this one here, this is a blue. This is the latest one that we made. That's what we used in that last one there that I was showing you. And this has a little bit of blue on the outside with the white ribbon. So it's like basically like, you know, if you have a party stringer, like a streamer, you know, and you have paper and you start to twist it, it's basically like ribbon. You know, you twist the ribbon inside of there, and it's just a flat piece of color. It's been flattened and sandwiched in between two pieces of clear glass. So this is how you make a jellyfish, or how I make my jellyfish pendants. I don't believe anyone else in the world makes them as nicely detailed and small as I make them. However, there could be some artists that I don't know of in this world who make some phenomenal jellyfish as well. So we're going to get started here. I'm just going to clean up some of this stuff. We're just going to put this off to the side so it doesn't get heated up by anything and cracked. And we're going to just clean up this glass. We have a cobalt. We'll probably use this orange here. I really do like this orange, and I'm thinking that I would also like to make a red ribbon cane. So we're going to attempt to make this same exact ribbon cane right here, the orange with the white center, but instead of having the orange, we're going to do red on the outside. And I'm just going to set these over here to the side for now. I don't really need this here. I can always grab these when I need them. Except, there, we'll keep that there. I guess that one doesn't fit, only in the other pieces. Okay, let's, okay, this is my, my piece I've been using for pulling. Alright. We need to get this clear glass all set up and ready. So we got a 16 millimeter rod. Basically, it's like almost a little bit bigger than ½ inch, like a 3/4 inch, I guess. If 25/4 is your 1 inch, then 12.75 would be your ½ inch, and these are 16 millimeter. So I would guess, you know, 3/4 inch clear rods here. Alright, so this one's already ready to go. As you can see, it's got that tip already pulled and rounded. This is how they start when it's a new rod. And uh-oh, as you can see, that's pretty crooked there. I wonder if we can just, here, we'll just use this end. That's interesting. I'm like, I could go back in and heat that up, I guess. Alright, let's try to do that. This could crack. I've already sealed pieces of glass together right here. And I don't know if it's going to crack or not. So we're going to just try to put this clear glass in here and do our best not to let it crack. We're going to jump it into the outside of the flame all the way at the far end, where it's not really intense, where that oxygen isn't hitting it too much. And you can see when I hit it, I don't know what it looks like in there. I guess when I hit it in the camera, it goes orange. When I'm using my lens, I just can't see the flame too much. With my glasses, my didymium glasses, it actually allows me to see through that sodium flare, so that orange that you're seeing is a sodium flare. And so the didymium glasses, the safety glasses that we wear, it helps to remove that sodium flare so we can see right through that. Alright, so now what I'm doing is I'm just heating this up so I can straighten it out. See, it was all wobbly, but now it's nice and straight. And that's what we want. And then we need to clean this up. So sometimes when you put this piece in, the end piece here can pop and shatter, as it just did. It did a little pop, but it didn't jump off the flame. There's like a little crack or a snap right there. And so you have to be careful when you put those sharp edges into the flame, because it can crack and snap like that. So you want to, I always sit far back, you know, instead of having my head like way close. And you also want to not put your face really close to the flame. You want to learn to work comfortably at arm's length. Sometimes you got to get close in to see the details and things like that when you're working some really extravagant detailed pieces and things like that. But other than that, oh, I really love this stand. My shoulder fits perfectly under it, so I can shift to the left hand now. So you just want to be careful with different pieces of glass and not shock it and We're going to pull off that edge there, because also the cut of the glass will leave like impurities within the glass, and we don't want that. All right, so now this is hot right here. I got to be real careful not to touch that, because I just straightened out the rod. We're going to actually set this down here. And I'm going to look at some colors here. I'm going to decide on what do I really want to use. Do I want to use a dark garnet for the outside of the red, or do I want to go with just a crayon red, like a super bright red? Which I'm thinking maybe that's what I want to do. To just go with the super bright red, so it really shows up. Because I think with a dark garnet, it might thin out a little much. Okay, so the trick is, so this one's now not hot up there, see, so I can touch it all the way to the end. I can now hold it here while I'm spinning it, hold the weight with this hand to steady it. It helps this hand here not have to take all the weight. And we want to just introduce the heat to the tip of this rod here. And we also want to either pull this tip off or heat it up and round it down. And so depending on if it's got a lot of like impurities, air bubbles, dust, dirt, debris, any hair that melted on it, anything like that, lint, when you start heating it up with the didymium lenses, which I don't know if I have this extra lens here, and maybe one day we can actually set this up and tape it on. But let's see if this does anything for you. Alright, so putting the flame there. I don't think that really makes a difference, huh? No. That's interesting. So I guess it doesn't work with the cameras, only with the eye. Okay, so basically what I'm going to do is heat up this piece here, right? And then we're going to flatten it. And I don't have any plier mashers. They make some really nice tools for glass. And they have like all these different like mashers and different pliers that have different shaping for making like leaves and petals and all these different things. But you can also use other tools and other glass and stuff, and you don't really need all those extra toys and devices and stuff. So we're gonna utilize the pad here and the paddle, and we're gonna basically mash this in between to get it flat. And really, I don't really need it flat on both sides. But I think it does help when making the ribbon cane to make this nice and flat. You can have either one side flat, or you can flatten both sides. And you just want to make sure you get this hot enough to where you can really, get like an inch of this. We're going to make a good size ribbon cane here. This is the beginning. Once you make one of these, then you can probably make like, I'm no lying, like probably 100 jellyfish at least out of this one ribbon cane, because of how little that you use within each one. Alright, so we're going to mash this down now on the pad. Let's go right to the edge right here, and then I just flatten it as best as I can. And it's not going to be completely flat, but I just pretty much want to make that kind of a shape like that. Then, and you know, I could go in and I could heat it up some more and make sure this is flat some more, but it's okay because we're gonna eventually stretch it all out, and it'll give us different depths in the what we're making is the tentacles to the jellyfish. Ooh, and look at that. That one's already pulled nicely, so we got a nice little small stringer. We're not going to need too much. And then we got this white here, which actually isn't white. So we're going to move this to the side. This is more of a opalescent, actually, opalescent might look really, really awesome. So I'm going to bring this down some. I don't want to burn out the color on this white here. I call it basically like a moonstone sort of color, and I do believe this is going to work really, really well for the jellyfish here. So what I'm going to do now is draw. We're going to heat up the color glass here enough to where it's nice and hot, just a tip. Make sure the surface of the clear is hot, and we're going to draw this from the top straight down the middle. Keep it nice and pretty thick, and then when you get to the bottom, you're going to pull it, but then slowly slow down your pull. Let the glass get cut by the flame right there. That's called a flame cut. Alright, and then what I always tend to do, because when you pull that, you got this little knob, so I always flatten out my work like that. And now I'm going to heat up this whole color of the draw that I put on there. We're going to heat it all up, and we're going to help to flatten it up against that. And that's going to help to widen it out. It's going to spread it out and make it a little bit more closer to the clear glass there, but I don't want it entirely smooth yet at this point. So now we're going to take the red, and we're going to draw the red right along this rim. There's like a little edge that you can feel right here. So on each side, we're now going to put a nice good piece of glass here. And we can go with a solid red, or we can go with like more of a translucent red. And that's what I was debating. Did I want to go with the solid red, or did I want to go with the more translucent red? Another thing is I have a Nortel Major torch here. And, you know, it's got a real strong body that I can actually utilize it for. Sometimes I just mash the glass right along the side there instead of using my paddle. But if you have a newer torch, you probably can't do that because of the aluminum bodies and things like that. So be careful on which torch you're working, and make sure you know what the torch can handle, and if you can do this or not do this with the torch, your specific torch you're working. Alright, so now what we've done is we've created that white glass, that what we call moonstone, in between two stripes. There's clear glass on this side. We now have to put clear glass on this side in equal amount. And that's where that secondary rod comes in handy. And also we want to melt this all down pretty smooth and flat. So when we add the secondary rod here, it doesn't trap any air bubbles. So you take a little bit of time to melt this down, and this is actually a good instructional demonstration on how to make a ribbon cane, and kind of an advanced ribbon cane with two colors, one color in the center and two colors on the sides. And it'll make the ribbons that I had shown you before. and they come out really nice. And you can add more colors, like my son was saying, he wants to see a rainbow. So I'm like, ooh, that's going to be really nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the rainbow colors drawn on with real thin lines in the center right next to each other. And then I'm going to probably do like a darker, like probably like a black or something like that on the outsides to then encase them in. So then all the rainbow will be in the center, and then we'll have like the darker outline. Alright, so that's now nice and flat, as you can see. We're going to melt down this, keep this hot, and we're going to get this to a point of getting molten here. So now we're using two hands at the same time. It's kind of like patting your head and rubbing your belly, right? So you might have to like try not to do the same movements. You know, you might want to like start spinning both at the same time, but you really want to keep them controlled. You also want to make sure you don't touch them together. And I'm going to bring up the oxygen more to get this more molten here real quick, a lot quicker. And you want to keep track of what side the color is on. So, you know, there's clear glass on that side, color glass right there. So you always want to make sure you know what side the color glass is on. Ah, you scared me, Boogie. My son just walked in, guys. Hello, good morning. He just came in all quiet, and I turned around, and you're standing right there. Hold on, Boogie. I gotta finish this up. Okay? Alright, so we're gonna get this molten now. And we're gonna attach it here. Is Mama up? Yeah. Okay. Why don't you go hang out there, because this is too bright to look at without the glasses. I don't want you to hurt your eyes. You can't look at the flame, it's too bright. Oh, you're sick again? Yeah. Okay. Alright, well. We'll take care of you, okay? I know, but you can't look at the flame because it's too bright without glasses. It's not bright for my eyes. Boogie, please go. Thank you. Alright, sorry about that. He doesn't understand. He's only 4. He's all, it's not too bright. I'm like, yeah, you don't get it. It's going to burn your retinas staring at this flame. So you definitely need to have eye protection while we're watching this live. You don't want to just be sitting here watching it for a while. And I'm going to be burning this for a while, so I don't want him just sitting here for a minute, because he will stare into the flame the whole time. He won't know to give his eyes a break and look away. If you're watching live demos on the street and things, you know, you got to pay attention to that. A lot of times, though, it won't be so bright because they're working in the sunlight and things like that, and that helps. When it's a lot brighter, it diffuses the light of the sodium flare. Alright, so this is still warm now, and I'm getting this molten because I had to look away for a minute. I lost the heat within the rod here, so this is going to take just a little bit longer now. But we're going to get this completely molten here, where it's white hot, and we're going to attach it right over that color there and draw it on to where we're going to push pressure onto it and mash it to where this kind of spreads out all the way over to the sides. And there we go. So I'm going to draw it down, mash it down, and then draw it completely like that. And I'm going to bring it back just to try to round up that top. So I kind of just figure out, okay, pull it down, pull it up, whichever way, to equalize the amount of glass that's getting laid down right there. So now we got this big old bump right there. We got to round that out. Heat that up real quick. Oh, I should have told him that he could watch it on the video. Because the video, it's safe. You don't get blinded from the sodium flare, but when you're live here, it's a different story. Alright, so now, as you can see, that clear glass is encased, completely covered up over the whole entire area of color glass there, the stripe or the ribbon that we laid down. The ribbon of color that we laid down. So now it's flattened color on the inside, encased or sandwiched between two pieces of clear glass. But we need to equalize both sides now. So we got one side flat. This side's all rounded and oblong, shaped, and so we need to mash it down here. So I'm getting it molten. I'm trying to melt it down as well and get the thicker parts of glass to move with some of the thinner parts, and getting the whole thing all heated all at once. Alright, and then we smash it on the table. Use the pad, and that's going to help to just bring all that clear glass over to the edge. And you really want to make sure that the clear glass is equal. So you see there's a little bit more clear glass on this side than this side. What we can do is we can add a little stripe of clear glass right here to offset that, so, or to equalize the to center it basically. And that's a little bit extra work. You don't really have to do that. It's just when you twist that thing up, you definitely be able to tell. So I'm going to do my best to just add a little bit of clear glass right here to it without encasing any air bubble. You gotta make sure to keep it all hot so this thing don't crack on you. You know, we now have two pieces of glass touching each other, and they're not completely fused together. They haven't been solidified together here. Add just a little bit more on this edge right here. Try not to trap any air in between there. Just drawing some of this clear glass there, just to thicken it up some. All right, and hopefully I didn't trap any air. If so, you know, it'll just be one little spot. We could probably pop the air bubble out. But now I'm just gonna heat this all up. This is gonna take some time, guys. So now you just need to be patient. It's all color or all clear glass. The color's inside, so you now don't have to worry about bubbling, boiling, or blistering the color. You can bring that heat up and really just melt down that clear glass around all that color. Eventually what we're going to do is we're going to get a piece of glass here that we call a puntee. And basically it's just a scrap piece of glass that's on the side somewhere here. Usually I have a lot of tubes from after blowing glass, from actually making tubing and things like that. And I'll have these blow tubes left over. And instead of throwing them all away, I utilize them and I just melt down the tip here and make it thick, to where then I can use this for a handle and I can attach it. So eventually we're going to attach this, and we'll utilize it to where we can keep this stationary while spinning this, exactly like that. My hand will hold this in place while spinning this as it's molten. But first, we got to get all this all melted down, get it all nice. Hopefully we don't have any air trapped in between right here, where we added some of that extra clear glass to make it a little bit thicker. Alright, now I'm just working on this little area right here, trying to get the dimple of air, that air pocket out. Bring it all to the surface. That looks good. Nice. There's another one over here on this side too. It's like from adding that clear glass on that one side, which that did make a huge difference. I don't know if you saw that, but the flame shot towards my hand. I had to move my hand really quickly because sometimes your hand gets a little singed, and if you hold it there, it'll get burned, you know. So as soon as I felt that flame, it's hitting there's like a little air pocket right there, and so that flame, it hit like the side rim of it, and it shot, like ricocheted back the opposite way. So you have to always remember that too. You got to be real careful. Sometimes the flame, it's shooting so hard with so much pressure this way, it might follow some of these creases and crevices as it's like hitting and dispersing everywhere, and it might follow down a line and then just like go down in the direction of where your hand is. So always be aware that you're working with flame, with fire. Usually working with flame and fire, you will get burned. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. So always know that there comes a time when you might just accidentally touch some hot glass or something like that might occur. Now what I see is that this side right here is a lot thicker and clear than this side. I'm going to add more clear glass to make sure. I want to make sure that this is nice and centered. And the more glass we have, just is going to make this a little bit bigger of a ribbon, and we'll just have a little bit more material at the end for making the jellyfish. Like I said, this is going to be stretched out and elongated so much that we'll probably be able to make like 100. Like I'm not even lying. It's amazing how far color goes when you're just using a little bit in order to put it into the glass and accent the glass. And when it's mostly all clear glass, but inside you're manipulating it to where it creates a little bit of color here and there, and it looks like a jellyfish. It's quite amazing, you know, that to be able to do that and to be able to stretch that material in that way. Alright. Oh, and I do see someone's washing. Uh-oh. Just looked away and touched molten glass to the tip of my torch. I do see someone commented here. Red Max. You know, this isn't a Red Max, actually. This is a square head tip, the major square head tip. This is original major right here. You must be a flame worker then if you know Red Max. What's up? So, do you work glass and do you make jellyfish? B. Hendricks, I see you're here. I see there's a couple people watching. I should have told my son that he could turn it on in the living room if he really wanted to watch. Maybe Mama did that. Maybe he went out there saying he just wanted to come in and watch, and maybe she put it on for him. It's really cool that he's interested in glass blowing. He told me the other day that he wants to blow glass. He wants to make things. I'm like, all right, I would love that. Because so far, all my other children, my first child, who's now 28, picked up glass at 9 years old, right before turning 10. Started making simple beads and mushrooms and things for a couple of weeks, a month or so, and that was it. Moved on to other art and other things, which, you know, sometimes sometimes we all have our own path, right? So I didn't want to hold my child back and be like, no, you have to blow glass. Like, no, if you want to do other things, heck yeah, I'll support you. Cool. So I really like this this angle here. This works pretty well. I guess I could swap out my cans. I have another can over here. I have this can right here, but this one I use for color glass, and I have another one for clear glass, and that's where I've been putting a lot of my scraps, and you're not seeing that. So I could probably swap out the cans, and that way you would see. You would just see that. So now you just got to remember, this is clear, that's now color over here. A lot of glass blowers have water in their cans or their jars. I tend to just pop it right off, and you know, sometimes I do have the issue with my tool getting too hot, and I should probably fill it up with water. I don't know why I don't. Lazy, I guess. Alright, so, I accidentally scratching my forehead and hit the camera there. But cool, I really do like this camera angle now that we're playing with. This is fun, this is different. Alright, so, you know, I'm just really trying to perfect this ribbon cane. Most of the time you don't have to do this much extra work with making sure it's 100% accurate. There's other ways too on making sure that it's flattened. You know, I could have flattened both of them first and then sandwiched them together, but I just wanted to draw it on and then, you know, see how it looks. Draw on more, apparently I need it to. So now we're going to flatten this. I'm going to push it towards the front a little because I noticed that some of that clear glass was kind of hanging out there. Alright, now look at that. See how much better centered it is? There's more clear glass on this side now than that side. There's still a rim or a ridge, as you can see. And there's a little dimple of air right there. So we still got to melt this all down and get that the whole edge all molten. So I can just hold this flame here to that clear glass and start working that dimple out. Eventually that clear glass is just going to all melt together. Hopefully it's not going to push any of that color glass out to the end of the dimple. I think it's going to be fine. Looks good. Alright, so now that dimple's gone, I just got to work on this other side here where this rim is. And we can get rid of this rim. I'm just going to follow it all the way up to the top and then come back down. Just slowly bringing my rod away from me and then bring it back towards me. Holding it at like a 45-degree angle. So it's coming towards my body this way and then going up like towards the ceiling this way, but then away from me. So I'm just trying to get that angle to make the gravity. I'm using gravity to help me move that glass where I want it to. Uh-oh, sorry. Got to get used to this stand, this new stand right here. I think I moved you guys over some. It's going to take some getting used to knowing my range on where my arm can be. But that's really good. Like, I can actually move right in front there. That's pretty cool. Okay, so now I can see the thickness is really good, except it leans a little this way and that way, but we're not going to worry about that. I could add more clear glass here on the tip and make it to where then it's completely flat. You know, we could do that, but let's just move forward now. So now it's all pretty much molten. We're gonna get the whole, or all one piece. It's all fused together. There's no more seams and anything like that. So now we're gonna get the whole thing hot, and then we're gonna get the punchy like we were talking about, and attach it here to the bottom. This is gonna be molten. This glass right here is gonna be molten. So I won't have to do anything with this really. If I heat this up, it'll be too hot, and then we'll just get like the little attachment in between to start spinning and not this big old chunk. We're gonna get this chunk to twist and create a ribbon cane, a twisted cane, but with the glass ribbon inside of there. Alright, I just wanted to get that top nice and heated there. We're about to get started here with the twist, guys, so getting it all molten. The whole thing, this is like 1.5 inches. This is a pretty big chunk of glass. We're going to center this as best as we can right there. Attach it. And then it should just grab it right in the center. And then you start to twist and pull. And that should create a beautiful ribbon cane right in there. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just going to twist this whole thing up. So we get one big old ribbon cane. I'm going to melt it all before I actually start to pull and stretch it. And then when I'm stretching it, I have to be real careful and cautious on keeping the twist going. I'm sorry about that. My torch is acting up here. I don't know if one of my regulators might need to be swapped out here soon. I think it's going up and down, and it's causing it to do that little spit thing when I get close. Like that, see? Well, alright. So now I'm just getting this nice and molten to where I can melt all those ridges down. And that way we don't have to worry about when we put this back in the flame, we don't have to worry about it like cracking and breaking too much. If you leave those ridges and you go back to heat this, melt this down or whatever, it'll crack on you because of all the color and all that time, all the layers and everything you put in there. It will crack on you. Oh, but this is going to look beautiful. So another thing too is you want to have that clear glass on the outside. You want that color glass to really be real centered in there, because you want to utilize the edge of that clear glass, because we're going to lay these down right next to each other to make a we're going to make a 1 inch small jellyfish. So now I got this all molten. I've heated up this whole thing. I'm going to try to show you without messing this up. But as you can see, we got that beautiful ribbon cane in there. And now we're going to go, we're just going to start heating it up and start to stretch it. I don't really need it to be this thick. I mean, we could make this whole entire thing into a glass bracelet, and I could stretch this whole thing out and turn this into a really beautiful, like $100, $120 bracelet. But like I said, I want to make this for my jellyfish. Now we have a beautiful red and white or moonstone kind of color. It's going to be very opalescent. It's going to be perfect for a jellyfish. And we're just going to, you see how it's stretching it out? That's a better size right there. I'd rather have like a 12 millimeter rod there on the end to start working with. I don't need to stretch this whole thing up, but I definitely don't want it as big as like a 1 inch in the middle right there. So we're going to stretch it down and make it a little bit more workable. So this here is really advanced, guys. Usually I charge $300 for this lesson, and it's usually only for individuals who have blown glass already and have already made a lot of different types of things. You got to have a good steady hand to be able to stretch and pull this as accurately as you need to make the jellyfish, and to make them look as realistic and as accurate as I do. Accurate, authentic, I guess. Not accurate, but more authentic is what the word I was looking for there. So now that's what I like right there. That sort of size. I don't need it on the punchy anymore, so we're going to let this solidify. And then I'm going to use my torch body here, and hopefully it'll just snap right off. And now we've got this beautiful ribbon cane, and hopefully that red pops. Like, that red really thinned out. I'm not liking that red now. See, so I did all that work, and yeah, it's still gonna work out. I just wanted it to be super, super dark red, and it didn't get that red to pop like I was really, really hoping. Well, no, actually, no, it's coming out right there. It's cooling down. Okay, I see what's happening. Okay, so we're going to utilize this now. So, in order to use this, and now this is when it's all going to come together pretty quickly. Okay, so for one thing, we need to take it off our rod because I don't want to leave it on this rod here. So I need to find another scrap piece of glass I can use, which I'm sure I got plenty laying around here. We'll grab the Norwex Opti cloth here that's hooked up onto the torch. Make sure that's all nice and clean because it's been laying on the floor right by the kiln, ready to be utilized. All right. So this is the chosen punty. Okay, so now this one's going to be, we're going to attach it from one end to the other here. So we're just going to heat up this punty. And it's on a tube, and you got this big old, like, marble on the tip. So you got to be gentle when you're reheating these. Sometimes that marble will pop right off that tube. I'm going to clean it up, pull off just a little bit of this. Looks like some dirty stuff or whatever. This stuff I don't want on there. Now we're going to melt this together. We're going to actually fuse these, and that handle is going to become a permanent handle to hold this until it's used up entirely. And like I said, I'll be able to make probably 100 jellyfish out of this one ribbon cane. It's amazing how far this goes. So in this little end right here, there's a little bit of ridges, so I'm melting it down first. And then we're going to get them molten and attached. Oh, sorry. I think I put my head to the camera again. I got to remember this thing's right here side by side. Alright, so then I'll get it molten, attach it. I'm just going to make sure it's nice and secure right there. And you keep on spinning. I'm going to give it a little bit of a pull. It's kind of like when you have a rope, you know, get a jump rope. And there's always slag in the rope, but if you pull it tight, then it gets nice and straight, right? So that's what we want to do. We want to straighten that out, pull it a little bit, and now you got this attached to the handle here, and now we have to take it off right here. So we didn't have too much heat there for a while. We're going to kind of slowly reintroduce that color, or that heat to that color glass there. And, okay, cool, no cracking, no nothing, we're good. Once it takes some of that heat, then if it didn't crack or didn't pop right away, then it's usually good. Alright, so now, what we need to do is we need to start pulling this whole entire thing out to a 1 millimeter. Alright, Boogie, I'll be done in a little bit. You guys can watch the video out there if you want. And then you can see when I'm done. Alright, so then we get this molten, way molten. I'm going to start pulling this, and I'm twisting it really, really tight, because now that we're stretching it out, it's going to try to untwist itself. And, you know, I don't really want all that, actually. I'm going to scrap all that. We want more from, like, right here. That's where all that white is in between. Sometimes at the very end, it doesn't have all that color and everything. Alright, so now, here we go. We're going to pull this down and twist it really, really tight. All the way down to like a 1 millimeter rod. And then we're going to pull this to like a 3 or 4 millimeter rod. And only like a really short, like a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch piece. Twist it up. Give it a nice pull. Okay, so now we got enough to make like probably 3 or 4 right there. I'm going to stretch this part out just a little bit more. Yeah, okay, that's good. I'm going to stretch this out. This part's a little thick here. Alright, and now I'm going to cut this off. Actually, let's twist this out some more here. I'm going to stretch this out just a little bit more here. We're going to utilize some of this. Get it nice and tight. Alright, and like I said, now that we're at this point, the jellyfish is going to come together pretty quickly. And I'm just going to make like 1 or 2, and then I'm going to let y'all go. So that way we can finish up this lesson here, and I can get some breakfast started for the family. Alright, so something like that. This one can go a little bit thinner still. Alright, now we're going to cut this off right here. I need to give my right hand a rest. I got issues where my fingers go numb and my whole entire hand just went numb. Gotta be careful with that. So I gotta do a little stretching here. Okay, so hopefully all right, it'll come back. Okay, so we now got this. This is like a good, 4 millimeter, 5 millimeter. I'd probably say a good 5 millimeter right here. And actually, it's 3.55, so a little bit under 4 millimeter, right? 3.89. So a little bit under 4 mil, right? So I guess we want like a 3 to 4 mil rod. Because normally I go even smaller. And this one, you want this like a 1 mil or half mil rod. We're going to put our flame real tight now, guys. We're going to do some super detail here. And I'm going to utilize this big old rod here to hold this. Hopefully the weight doesn't mess me up. So now we're going to heat up this tip here. And we're going to attach it to that tip and draw, I don't know, I'd say about 3 or 4 millimeters down. Draw another one right next to that, 3 or 4 millimeters down. Every time I'm pushing it up against the torch tip to flatten that up. Make sure I don't have a little bump, a little knob sticking off of each one every time. I got that stuck to the torch. Alright, so now we got all those pieces down. So see, that little bit is all we're going to use for the jellyfish. Alright, and where's that jelly? So that color makes that. I wish I could find the rust color here. Maybe we'll go with an amber purple. Actually. Yeah, let's do that. Oh, this is a double Mai Tai. So it's like an amber purple or dark amber purple. This is called a double Mai Tai. It's quite similar. So we're going to use this color. It's got, as you can see, it's got that two-tone to it. So now what I need to do is going to heat up all of these tentacles around that center tentacle. And then we're going to use the color to attach it to the center here and pull that to where now we have a more elongated stringer there with all of those tentacles all pulled all the way around. And then we're going to get a blob of this color right on the tip here. Give it a good amount. Attach it right there on the tip. All right. So now we got that color. I'm just going to round it down on my marving pad here. Now you can see there's a little bit of color on the tip there, and then all the way to here are those tentacles. This is just one little ribbon cane right here, but this portion right here, that's the jellyfish on top. So now the trick is pushing that jellyfish into some clear glass and then putting a cobalt background on it to make it look like it's swimming in the ocean. So now all we do is we bring up the heat here. We get our rod back into the flame. And we get this molten here. And we only need about a ½ inch or so, because you know we don't want a whole inch. You know, the whole entire pendant itself, when we measured it, it was a good 33 millimeters long and about an inch wide. So when we push this in, we want it to only go in about a ½ inch or 3/4 inch in there. And the trick is you want to get the tip of this molten, but the rod, everything behind it, everything back here is all still solid. It's all solidified except for where the heat is. So if you concentrate the heat right here in the tip, you know that's all liquefied. And we can push a solid piece of color or any kind of glass. I mean, you can push clear glass in there, but you won't be able to see what you do. So we're going to now take that rod or that jellyfish that we made right there, right? With all that ribbon cane. I'm going to heat it up just a little bit to get that color glass a little bit molten to help, so when we push it in, it's going to really spread out nicely. But then I'm going to take it away from that heat. I'm going to keep getting this molten, and then 3, 2, 1, stab it in, push it directly in the center. I keep spinning my left hand as I'm controlling the right and making sure that's going in the center. And I'm also watching where the end of all those tentacles were, so I can cut them off, but where they can still be floating and they're not pushed all the way up under the bell of the jelly. And also so they don't I can leave more of the center tentacle and they get pushed in a little bit further than that center tentacle. Now, because we pushed this in, we now created a big old air pocket in there. It's kind of V-shaped, and what we need to do now is get that air bubble out of there. So we're going to heat it up from right behind the cap here, the bell, and that's going to get all this molten. And it's basically the gravity is going to allow for the molten glass to fall down into itself. And good morning, Serena. I see you're watching as well. I'll be done here in just a second, just doing a quick lesson, and then I'll come out and we'll get some breakfast going. Unless, I think I heard that you might have already started some dishes and maybe started some oatmeal or something, I don't know. But I'll be out here in just a second. The ribbon cane takes a long time to make, but now that we're at the jellyfish portion, these things I can make pretty quickly. This part is probably one of the longest parts here, is getting that air bubble out and being very patient, holding that heat, that torch right behind on the clear rod and behind where all the color and everything is there. Allowing for the clear glass to basically fall down onto itself. The gravity is basically allowing that glass to fall onto itself, and it's going to squeeze the air bubble out from the center. Eventually it's just going to collapse onto itself, and if you're not careful, you can collapse that air bubble inside and entrap it. And sometimes you want to do that. Sometimes you want to have an air bubble. But for my jellyfish, I definitely don't want to have any air bubbles in there. But sometimes, you know, air bubbles look kind of cool, especially little tiny ones. With the jellies, because then, you know, there are air bubbles, natural air bubbles within the ocean, and if that does occur, then, you know, it's a natural little happy mistake, you know, like Bob Ross would say, it's just a little happy mistake. We'll put another little happy jelly here and another happy jelly there, and they'll all be floating in the ocean as a big old jellyfish family. I need to get me a big old afro wig, and then I can do some Bob Ross doing glass, right? That'd be fun. Okay, so now I can see all those tentacles are in there. And another thing I was thinking too is now I have the orange, right? And I've got the red. we can mix those together. We can have maybe the orange in the center and the red on the outside. We can even do orange and blue tentacles, you know. So now we can mix and match different ones here if we choose to do so. So that is pretty much it right there. The jelly is in there. I'm going to utilize this heat right now, and we are going to basically allow one side of it to flatten out. And I can see that it's kind of like spinning oblong, where that's got a little bit more glass on that top side. We're going to let that top side become the back side, and just let gravity let it fall a little, put it onto the pad, and bam, we now got a back side right there. Uh-oh, hopefully that's not too hot to touch. So now we got a flat back on the back side of that. That's where this cobalt blue is going to get attached. So this is a Chinese cobalt blue rod. It comes in 5 foot, 4 foot or 5 foot increments. I'm going to heat this up. We got to be even more cautious with color glass and cobalt and things like that. Introducing them into the flame, and making sure you don't let that heat get up too high on the rod, or it can crack the rest of the rod and stuff. But I think we're safe here, in a good safe zone. Now need to, we're going to counteract the sides. You know, if I'm heating it on one side, I got to make sure I heat it on the other, or else it's going to fall and get lopsided to one side. So you got to always heat it on one side and then heat it on the other when you're melting things like that. And I'm just going to kind of let it hold in place as I'm getting the color ready. This is cobalt blue, and we're going to get this molten here, and then basically we're just going to push it right onto that the flattened portion, the back side of this pendant. And this is going to create a beautiful ocean background. So here we go. We're going to flatten it, make sure it's centered, and then pull it. And then I always go upward towards where we're going to pull it off the rod. And that's also going to allow the color. Uh-oh. Dropped something. And then we're going to also allow the color to get pulled into the loop of the pendant. So I'm going to heat that up and get rid of that knob there. We're going to make sure that's flattened. And then as we heat it, I'm going to make sure that I hold it this way. So then that cobalt blue, as it's heating and getting all molten, it's going to also fall down towards the bottom of the pendant, the back side of the pendant, and it's going to round out just naturally, and will help to make sure that all that color glass is evenly distributed. You can see it creates a beautiful water drop there. I don't know if you can see that or not, but we need to attach or fuse these pieces of glass together now. So now we basically have another big old chunk of color on the backside, and you can tell it's not smooth one piece of glass. And now the trick is to now get this to all become smooth. And sorry, I got my hand in the way right there. I need to remember that. So I'm trying to just allow the heat to let this glass fall this way. I can see it's thicker on this side here, so I'm really like trying to force it to fall over, but I'm also trying not to let the pendant fall over. So I'm really focusing that heat on this back side. Also, when I smash it, with this here, I can also force that glass over to the side that I want it to. And then we can start to flatten that back side there. And then we'll get this all fused. And you know what? We're just going to do one and call it a day, because this is a pretty long video already now. And it really does go into a lot of detail on how to make that ribbon cane and how to really get that detail to make a beautiful jellyfish here. And I'll try to show you what it looks like before I put it completely in the kiln. Because I actually want to see, I'm looking at it and I'm really seeing that these tentacles are quite wiry. And I don't know if, I think what I'm seeing is just the reds on the outside and all of that moonstone white translucent color has like kind of washed out. So I'm hoping that it comes back. I do believe when it cools it should come back some. Alright, so let's make sure that's nice and flat in there. Beautiful. And now what we're going to do, we're going to heat this up really good here. Get it nice and molten on just the backside. Now that it's all fused together, it's all one piece of glass. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten the whole entire pendant. It's going to allow for the pendant to get bigger and grow wider. And just a little bit. Not too much. And also just to make sure that everything is nice and flat. And it's all one piece of glass. Alright, and I think I can hold it at this angle here a little bit because it seems like it's falling over the opposite way. I'll counterbalance it, go to the table here, allow it to lay flat all on its own, and then we're going to put the paddle to the front and really smash that down. And as you can see, it basically like elongated or widened this way here. Now we got some, it looks like divots and rings, heat rings and stuff on the back side here. So we're going to heat up this whole entire back side. We're going to make sure that that's all nice and smooth. Get rid of any of those divots from flattening it on the table. The heat rings, you can't really tell what I mean until you actually are blowing glass and you start seeing those heat rings. It's like ripples in the in a pond, and basically the heat is like sending out, and it makes an interesting ripple with that. But now you can see that jellyfish in there pretty good. And like I said, we're gonna pull it off of here and be able to see it here in just a moment. So I'm gonna make sure that the front here is nice and rounded. You know, I did my best to make sure that the back was the only portion that was molten when I flattened it. I didn't have any of the torch or the heat on the front side. Had I done that, it would have just flattened both sides and mashed the detail of the jelly and everything, and you don't want to do that. So now we're just going to allow that flame to skim right off, right underneath it. We're using the top of the flame and allowing it to skim off of the surface underneath it, so the gravity is just allowing that glass to just, you know, fall down and set right into itself. So it just looks nice and round now. Then we can take it off and call it a day. So this is now using the same punchy. We're now going to heat up the punchy. We're allowing this to get cool. This should cool down some because you don't want it to sorry, I was just looking at something like, is that I thought there was some sort of a line or something in there. I can't tell what's going on. It's some sort of a reflection, I think, happening from the jellyfish in there. It's like, it can't be cracked. It's been molten the whole time. There's no way that molten glass can crack. Okay, so, optical illusions here. Alright, so now you can really see the detail of that. So yeah, that looks pretty beautiful. I think you can see the tentacles in there. I don't know. It's hard to get that to focus in on the center there. I can definitely see them. I don't see the red as much as I was hoping for. And sometimes adding that detail, being that it's so tiny at the end result, you know, maybe it's going to give a little bit of a hue of red or orange. And that, didn't we use the double Mai Tai, which I thought was going to look a lot more kind of reddish than what it looks like. It almost looks like the dark multi that I've been using for the more blue or green ones. And so even me, I still don't know how they're all going to turn out till the very end. And then I can be like, okay, let me see if I can tighten up the tentacles better on the next one or this and that. And usually I try to make, you know, like 5 or 10 in a sitting. So hopefully I can get back on the torch here in a little while today. And we can just have a fun little session. I'm going to pull this while watching where that blue is on the back side. Once I get to about that portion, I'm going to pull it forward to create that angle. So then I can start bending it back onto itself, bringing that blue all the way around, keeping that blue within the inside of that pull. So I'm making sure I don't twist that blue up so that background is completely on the inside now. Alright, then you need your reamer. Finally, we're going to use the reamer here. One of the most important tools we have. The tweezers and the reamer and the paddle and the pad and the torch and of course the fuel and of course the glass. Alright, so now what I do is I heat that up. I usually flatten it so it helps to spread that out and it helps to really get a nice attachment there. And then I'm going to really fuse my attachment to make sure it doesn't look like I just pulled that glass over. You know, you get a lot of Chinese glass pendants, and you know, they're only like $5 to $12 in the mall and things like that. People are like, how come I get these ones for only this much and blah, blah. It's like, well, for one thing, it's soft glass. It's Moretti or bullseye glass. It's not borosilicate. And another thing, it's Chinese glass, and they're done in sweatshops, so they're getting like, what, 50 cents a day or whatever, I don't know. So if you want to support that glass and that industry, you can. Everyone's welcome to support whatever they'd like, or not even worry about being in supportive of anything and just buy what they like. You know, who cares where it comes from, as long as you can utilize it for whatever you need in your life. Because every industry around the world needs to have consumers in some way or another, or we just stop consumerism. Like, good luck with that. It's human nature to consume for some reason. Alright, so there you go, guys. So that's a finished jellyfish. I just need to take it off, but I want to see if I can get you a really good look at it before. There we go. So now you can see the details of those tentacles in there. And the back, it's all flat. That blue's right there. Clear glass all the way through. So it's all clear glass except for a little layer of blue, which makes the whole thing look like it's cobalt. Then I pull that blue through the loop, and so the whole thing looks like it's all cobalt, but it really is all clear. Alright, so there you go, guys. That's how I make the GardunoGlass Jellyfish Pendants. And I've also been able to make them smaller into little 15 millimeter, 16 millimeter marbles. And I have made them even tinier. I made the most tiniest one time that looked like it was, it could fit on your finger now. The tiniest jellyfish ever made. Alright. So there you have it. We're going to drop this in the kiln now, guys. So we'll just slide you guys over here with me. And you can see how I do this. So we just simply I'm gonna re-grab this real quick. Make sure. Okay, so we grab it, grab the handle, and drop it in, just like that. That's simple. And that's how you finish. Now, we started off today with poop. We're gonna end it with poop. That means propane oxygen. Oxygen, when you turn it off, you go oxygen, then propane. That way you don't get a big old pop or have any issues or anything like that. So thank you so much for tuning in and watching. I'm Dan the Glass Man. This is a whole new angle right here, something new and different to try out. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you were able to see a lot more of the detail of what's going on. From looking at the screen here, you guys are actually on live screen right now as we're watching. And so, yeah, I've been able to watch it the whole way through and monitor it, and it looked pretty good to me. You can see the whole table that I work, my work area. I mean, not the whole table. I got a big old mess on each side. But you can see that. You can see the fan right here in front. That's where the exhaust goes out directly right in front of everything here. Keep it safe. This is the view of what I get to look out every day and get to see outside right here. And it's a little bit cloudy skies today. And yeah, that's about it. So thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching. I'm Dan the Glass Man, and you guys have been watching the Glass Man's World. We'll see you guys soon. Love and blessings. Make sure you like this video. Share it out if you like. I'm going to save this in a new playlist that I started called Glass History Lessons and More. And so this will go into the Glass History Lessons and More playlist. Check out that whole list. It's got a whole bunch of cool artists. I definitely want to make sure I get a lot of local artists as well in there. So hopefully I can get some of them. And yeah, we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. That's how you make GardunoGlass Jellyfish.
I watched the video on his phone.
You did?